Hello everybody, Gliderman here. So today we're back with Java and we're going to be working on a simple Tic Tac Toe game. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be creating a new project for this, as that's going to be kind of a custom thing. And this is kind of going to be a culmination of everything that we've kind of done up until this point, and we're going to actually have a proper working application. This will be a multi-part series, or mini-series here, because there's just a lot to cover. I mean, you got UI, you got game logic, and then, you got the end of the game. So let's get started. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to be working on creating a new project. So we're going to just close the project that we had previously, which you can also see over here in the Package Explorer. And we're going to click on this little drop down, and we're just going to hit Java Project. And when that window pops up, we're simply just going to give our project a name. We're going to just call that Tic Tac Toe. We can leave our execution environment JRE at whatever it is. I have used default location selected there. And let's just click finish. That'll load that up. There we go. And we can see our project was added over here. So let's click this little drop down. You can see that it's got the source folder, and it's got the library, or basically Java. So we're just going to click on this, and then we're going to click on this little package button here. And we're just going to call this pack, let's call it Tic Tac Toe. Just like that. So that the package kind of describes our project. Now we're going to create a class, but this time we're going to give it the full name, like that. We're going to check this little box here to include a main method, and we're going to click finish. And so you can see that appears over there, and then it loads up the file over here. So it comes with this little to-do method there. We don't really need to worry about that too much, so we can just select that and delete that. Now we're going to be creating the constructor. So let's give ourselves some room, and let's do public tic tac toe. And then we'll do open parentheses, which automatically attaches a close parentheses. Let's arrow over, or actually you could press tab there, and that would bump you over. We're going to add in a space and then an open brace, and press return. So that's going to be our constructor here, and now we need to create the constructor. So we'll just do new tic tac toe, just like that. This does return a value, however, we don't, or more so, it returns an instance of the Tic Tac Toe class, but since the main method doesn't really need that, we just aren't assigning the returned value to anything. So now we're going to be starting to work on our user interface. So it's probably going to be a Jframe, which is the kind of window class. So we're just going to extend, and we're going to do that by typing in extends like that. And you're going to see that it kind of highlights the purple. And then we're going to extend Jframe. And so this will be using the Swing user interface libraries. So let's click on this little warning error that popped up there. It's going to tell us that we want to import it. So let's just double click on that. And you're going to see that it says import JavaX Swing Jframe. Well, since we're going to be using a lot of things from Swing, we're just going to replace Jframe with the asterisk, which is also known as the wildcard. And that basically says import everything from the JavaX Swing package. And let's see here, what does this say? That's not something that you need to worry about too much. Serializing is basically allowing it to store it in a format that's able to be passed through like streams and saved to files and that kind of thing. We're not going to be doing that with Tic Tac Toe, so we don't need to do that. So up here, we're going to start creating the user interface elements. So the first thing is going to definitely be a J panel that will go inside that Jframe, and we're just going to call that main panel. There we go. And that's just going to be assigned a new J panel, like that. And you're going to see all the errors disappear, and you can do like what I'm doing here, where I'm actually creating the I'm initializing it before actually going down into the code. That's just a little bit quicker and easier in this situation, as there's going to be a lot, and we probably don't want to stick that into one massive method. So we've got our main panel there, and then that's going to be divided into a number of different parts. We're going to have a top panel that will say whose turn it is, and we'll also have a bigger 3x3 grid down below that will be the Tic Tac Toe board. So let's create panels for those. So let's do JPanel, and we'll call that top panel. Actually, we'll call it main top panel. This is kind of just my formatting way that I go with these. That's just kind of makes sense to me. So I can look at the name of a panel and know where it goes in the nesting system. And there are a couple IDEs, integrated developments out there that have drag and drop elements for building a user interface. However, I've had some bad experiences with that, and so I prefer to hand code the user interface. So we also need another J panel, and that's going to be the main center panel, and we're just going to make that a new J panel as well, just like that. And I do the tabs there so that I can see where everything is indented. In this top panel, we're going to need a J label, which will hold the text of who's going now. So let's just call that who goes label, and we're just going to assign new J label, and we aren't going to give it any text just yet because that's not necessary. Now, this main center panel is going to be created as a grid layout. So it's going to have a 3x3 grid, and we're going to be sticking in 9 buttons that will have either X or O in them. So, let's see, probably the easiest thing to do would be to create 9 J buttons. I know there are ways to kind of make that a little bit cleaner instead of having to make 9 of them, but that's just going to be how we do it for this one. So we're just going to call it row 1, col 1, or row 1, column 1 button, just like that. And then we're going to new J button, like that. And so we're just going to select this, and then we're going to paste that so that there's 9 of those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 to be what we want there. And let's just give this some indenting here. And those errors are simply saying that those are all duplicate names. So column 2, column 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, like that. And then here, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3. So now we've got 9 buttons there that will be arranged in the 3x3 grid. So I think that's just about it. So let's get into creating those elements and nesting them. So we're going to be creating a little method for that, and we're just going to call that public void, because it's not going to return anything, and that's just going to be build window, and just like that, with an open brace on the end. So we obviously need to make sure that build window method is called. So we're just gonna call that from the constructor, and then we're going to start nesting everything. So let's start with the main panel and the top panel and the who goes label. So the main top panel is going to have added to it. Let's just wait for it to load there. Yes, code recommenders is enabled. That's good. Control space should bring the autocomplete back up. So we're just going to be adding a component, and we're going to be adding the, who goes label, and then a semicolon right on the end. So now the main top panel will have the who goes label. Next, we need to add, actually we need to do a couple things to the main panel. So we're going to just call main panel dot set layout, and then we're going to do new border layout, like that. And that should say that it wants to be imported, because this is from the AWT classes. And then, so after that layout's set, we're going to add the main top panel to the main panel. So main panel dot add, and then this one's actually going to take two parameters. So it's going to be the main panel and border layout dot north, which will be the top portion of it, because basically the border layout gives you a top area that will automatically shrink and scale, a bottom, a side, and another side, and then the middle content will be scaled as large as the window is. So these, the top, bottom, and sides will be squeezed down to be as small as they can be, and then the middle area will have as much room as it can. And that's kind of perfect for our purpose. So now that we've got that added there, we might as well also add the main center panel to the main panel as well. So we're just gonna go that, and then we're going to do main panel, not main panel, main center panel, and then border layout dot center, like that. And actually I messed this one up as well, and let's also call that north instead of top, so that the naming convention is all similar. So we'll just change that to north. So now we've got all of our panels added here to the main panel. However, the main panel wasn't added to the frame just yet. So as you can see, it's a lot of nesting, but it's good. So we're just going to call this, because remember, this is actually a Jframe. And so we're just going to do add, and then we're going to add main panel. So now we should have the panels added to the frame. However, there's also quite a lot that we can do to mess with the Jframe. So let's do that up here. So we're just going to prepend this to everything. You could do like just add main panel, but I'd prefer this so that you know what it's talking about, and so that you don't need to guess at the method names. You could pull up control space, which will give you the autocomplete there, but I see no reason to use that right now. So let's do this dot set title, and we're just going to call that Tic Tac Toe, like that. This dot set size, and we're going to make that, let's see, about 300 by 350, so that it has room for the label at the top. And this dot set default close operation, and that's going to be Jframe, accidentally capitalized the R, dot exit on close, so that when we hit the X button, it will automatically shut down the application. Let's see, what else do we have? Down at the bottom, after everything is done, actually we won't even do that in the build window. Up here, we'll do this dot set visible, and so we'll set that to true so that it appears. We're going to do this dot set location relative to, and then we're going to pass in null here, which will center it on your screen. I'd say that's probably about it that we need for this. We could also set it to be resizable and actually disable that. And let's do that. Okay, so now we're getting there. So when we need to work on the main center panel now. So main center panel, and then we need to set the layout to a new grid layout. And let's see if we can pull up that. There we go. So we can do rows and columns there, and it even looks like we can have a little bit of gap between the rows. So let's do that. So that's going to be rows, which will obviously be 3, and columns that will be 3. And then we'll do 10 and 10. We'll evaluate that later. Now, what you don't actually tell it what index you want to place the objects or the buttons in. You just add them in the specific order. So that's going to be main panel, or main center panel, and then dot add, and then we're going to add row 1, column 1 button, and then copy, and then we'll paste that 9 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, like that. And so column 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, like that. And then here, this will be 2, 2, 2, and 3, 3, 3. So now we should have a bunch of buttons in like that. So let's save that, which you can do by Command S on Mac, Control S on Windows, or by clicking this little floppy drive icon right here. Okay, so let's give that a run and make sure our window looks kind of how we expected it to. And there we go. So now we got our window here called Tic Tac Toe. And we got our big, massive buttons in there. And we've got a nice bit of horizontal gap and vertical gap. And then when we stick in the label, which actually we can give it a little bit of or text in here. So let's just say we'll just fill it in with text for now. So that will be what it says. And let's see how the buttons look. And yeah, you can just hit this little run button right there. So there we go. So now we've got our basic user interface set up, and we got our buttons. Probably next time we'll be working on getting the action listeners all hooked up for this, so that we can actually start getting the game logic written. So I'll see you there. Bye.